beer flowing while the world's on fire. Debate getting deep, but the vibes get higher.
Welcome back, Pints and Politics, episode 98.
Yeah, man, welcome back.
Yeah, man, we're taking, a little bit more space in between these because we're constantly going.
Well,
constantly on
and
the
we're
road.
fatigued, man. Every other week we're going to the ballot box, it seems, here in South Carolina.
It does feel that way.
Look, I ever since I've gotten into politics myself and went and voted, I take that I voted sticker and put it on the inside part of my wallet. Literally, there's like 4 that are like, looks like they're all brand new.
It's causing sciatica problems with you now.
Right. So Republican Party wants to check if I voted in the last 2 or 3 Republican primaries, I got the stickers to prove it. You know what I mean? But hey, on this episode, we are going to talk about our weekend review, just some of the trouble that Representative Brandon Guffey and I have been getting into the last now 2 weeks. We're also going to touch on, we went back last week and passed a budget. That we did pass a budget, but it didn't have the community appropriations or what some know as earmarks. That got separated out of the budget. And also, we'll be talking about that budget talk, and then obviously the big
Senate
sort
race.
of news here around the state, and it's getting some national attention because Senate seats are so important, especially in this midterm election.
Right.
Trying to keep the majority in both the House and the Senate for the Republicans. That's getting a lot of attention. But those are the topics we'll be covering in this week's episode. So
Let's thank our sponsor, first of all, Comer Distributing.
Hey,
Today-
Guffey picked these, by the way.
Yeah, we're going light today. We have things to do.
And it's 120 degrees outside.
Yeah, so today it's Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzers. I'm doing a watermelon.
I got a grapefruit.
Yeah, only 80 calories.
Tastes like Topo Chico grapefruit.
Yeah, it tastes like a,
Like a little seltzer soda
yeah. Tastes like my wife's pool beer.
one. Or his favorite, Bud Light.
Yeah.
But so the past 2 weeks, I know we've been running around a little bit, mixing in day job with legislative responsibilities. Man, I had the pleasure of going down to speak to the South Carolina Orthopedic Association down in the Low Country. They held theirs this year at Kiowa. Man, which if you've never been there,
Never been.
get the invite. But
I'm on the wrong committee, evidently.
well, being medical subcommittee chair, I get invited to a lot of, whether it's physician, hospital, whatever type of legislative panels. So, I just went down there, talked to a ballroom full of physicians. We talked, everything from things that are challenging them, whether it's prior authorization. Obviously, that seems to be a universal or common thread. I don't care what scope of practice you're in as a physician, a pharmacist, an orthopedic surgeon, or just a primary care physician. Physicians are growing frustrated with some of the hurdles and barriers to delivering healthcare to patients. And so that's why I've offered the prior authorization along with Senator Johnson. He introduced it on his side. Just trying to get, still trying to keep the cost controls of prior auth, but trying to speed up those processes to where patients can get care a little bit quicker. And then also scope of practice, right? I know Senator Tom Davis, has offered up some scope of practice bills where we're allowing, say, nurse practitioners to practice unsupervised of a physician.
Yeah.
After 1 year of experience. Obviously, physicians are going to make the argument that nurse practitioners don't receive the same education, training, or they don't have the same experience, clinical experience.
Do they have the same liability?
Right. And so, first and foremost, for me, that's a safety issue, right? And so I think there's a conversation maybe to be had because we did relax some of these licensure and supervision things during COVID. And so we need to have a conversation about it, but we need to do it responsibly and reasonably to where you're not suffering on, or you're not sacrificing the quality and then the safety of that healthcare delivery. So what about you, man? What did you get into?
Well, I had to fly out to Nashville. So I'm working with 3 different groups. So you have the group with the guy from Sound of Freedom, the movie. I'm trying to think of the name of it. His nonprofit.
Okay.
Flew out, did a podcast recording with them.
And that was on trafficking
Well, it was on sextortion.
Okay, gotcha.
So especially with September being Suicide Awareness Month, a lot of these groups, like Tim Tebow is doing a podcast story about sextortion.
Okay.
We'll be talking about that as well. And then I'm flying out tomorrow or Friday morning to take off to Tampa to do another one with
that's right.
Operation Light Shine. But between that, the book, PR stuff, so
Now,
I've still got to sell about 2,000 more pre-orders of the book
wow.
before the big bookstores will pick it up. Like it's for sale at Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, Books A Million, all these places for pre-order. But the pre-orders is what decides how many books they're going to order for their store.
Oh, right.
So-
you got to get enough demand.
I
on
need
that
about
side.
2,000 more
Oh, wow.
before the end of October.
All
So,
right, shameless plug, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Name of the book, go give it to us.
Name of the book is Tomorrow Needs You, A Father's Journey of Turning Pain to Purpose. And it can be found on Amazon.com is the easiest place to find
Okay.
it, typing it in. Or you can go to lessthan3sc.org. And there is a link for the book on there with everywhere that you could pre-purchase it for.
And if we go through the Less Than 3 site, you get 10 cents for every order.
No, I don't know how honestly, I didn't even worry too much about the contract of the book.
No, I'm kidding.
So,
So that's available for pre-order right now.
yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And the pre-orders are important, which I would have never thought, but the
Right.
pre-orders are important because it judges how it's going to go. Now, I still have to record the audio book, which I've got to work on that. And then
Well, I mean, this podcast has
PR
been good
stuff.
training, where you get your,
get the voice out.
you can get the low energy Guffey, you can get
Yeah.
the high energy, you can get the,
Well,
you know.
the difference is now people are going to see how slow I read.
Well, they can always speed it up like 1.5 times, and then you get regular speed for everybody.
They're going to start fussing at me. They're like, yeah, you didn't write any of that. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Speaking of
But,
AI,
yeah. So had that, and then of course it was an emotional week at the end of the week last week.
Yeah.
So we came back in. I came straight from Nashville back into the budget. Mm-hmm. And then of course we had the election, the primary results that night, and then I had to go and speak at Rock Hill High, Northwestern High, South Point High, and then a parents' night on Thursday and Friday. And that was especially emotional for me because I was addressing the entire school at one time in the auditorium, but Rock Hill High was where Gavin went to school at. So it was my first time being able to address the entire student body and talk about why tomorrow needs you and what the kids should be aware of. Not just from cybercrimes issue, but from a mental health issue. And that has been unbelievably blessed from that because the amount of teens that have reached out.
Oh, right.
We just spoke at 2 schools on Thursday and had 1,100 scans of our QR code
oh wow,
that are bringing kids to the site
Nice.
for help and resources. So that shows
Well,
you the impact.
and-
1,100 out of 2 high schools.
and that's great. I think also for kids who are suffering from whatever it is, right? Whether it's whatever that's getting them into that depression sort of
Right.
path. That leads, I would say, to making a bad decision and making a permanent, and wanting to commit suicide.
Or feeling like they can't talk to their parents. I've had a lot of kids just reach out.
And that's
And
what I was gonna
that's kind
say.
of difficult to navigate because
It-
I'm not your
it is.
parent.
But
And
it's
I don't
good-
want to give someone else advice.
I think it's good that folks understand they're not alone.
Yes.
Like that is the first and foremost to me that when I hear you talk about your purpose and your cause with this Less Than 3 Foundation is that our young people, because sometimes it is hard. I mean, I got 3 kids, you got your 2 boys, and just sometimes they don't feel comfortable always coming to you
Right.
or your wife, right? But to have, we always say it takes a village, even though parents are the chief. That village of support is very helpful, right? For those kids to feel that they're not alone.
I agree.
And I'm just saying that your foundation, your website, you getting out into schools, it sort of expands that village. It grows that village to those kids where they understand that they're not the only ones feeling this way.
Well, and I'll tell you, here lately, it's kind of frustrating. It's good, but it's frustrating because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's getting the message out, but it matters their intention of getting the message out.
Yeah.
So, like, we saw these social media lawsuits happen. You know, I've been doing this for 4 years. There's other groups such as MAMA, the Mothers Against Media Addiction, Parents Rise, Exodus Road, that, you know, put together these programs and trying to assist kids. And since those social media lawsuits, now you're seeing other players jump in the game. And they're doing it because they see, okay, well, New Mexico is going to have close to $1 trillion, or, you know,
Right.
was 800 and something million dollars in that one lawsuit. So they're projecting that across the globe or across the United States, it's going to be $1 trillion lawsuit. And that money is going to be put back into communities of training kids.
Right.
Well, now you got every Tom, Dick, and Harry trying to start, let me educate you on how to protect your kids online.
Diluting the purpose. right,
Correct.
For the financial incentive.
Right. They're taking screenshots of just things that are said, putting it on a piece of paper, and then wanting to throw it in budgets across the country. And that is frustrating.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've got other groups, especially everyone that listens to this podcast knows my issues that I've had with Moms for Liberty York County before.
The local
chapter.
Okay.
I've spoken at
Right.
the national convention, but the local chapter.
Weren't you the
I've always had
legislator
a
of the
problem
year?
with.
Was that one of the ones that you got?
No.
Okay.
No,
You had so many.
Well, it's funny they didn't do a legislator of the year last year.
Oh,
So,
you were probably up for it.
well,
you know?
we shall see. I don't know. But the Moms for Liberty York County group just celebrated their 5th year. This happened to me 4 years ago.
Congratulations.
And as I walk in here to record, I see a notification that they're doing a Kids, Phones, and Real Life, a parent roundtable coming up. And their speaker, their expert is Jackie.
Brandon, what?
Yep.
Who?
So Jackie, our
Representative
chief
Terrell.
yeah. So these things, even though that there's a local issue to them, we've had numerous mama events, we've had numerous less than 3 events, never any promotion, never any push to actually educate parents. It's okay, now let's get into the fray of this. And those types of things just drive.
Do
me
you know any of those ladies
crazy.
over there?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Spoken.
are you on, like, can you pick up the phone, call them? I wouldn't know who.
I could care less to talk to them now.
Okay.
Yeah,
See,
that trust is gone. And whenever I spoke at the National Moms for Liberty Convention, matter of fact, Jackie and Caitlin were the 2 women speaking in there, and their words were to Ashley Jones, who's with Less Than 3 now, was, you know, as long as she's supporting Brandon Guffey, then it'll be like this.
That's
So,
that's just evidence of making everything
Pettiness.
so personal.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked about this in a prior episode about how folks, politics, public service can be an opportunity to bring folks together. Others will use it to divide communities, and that's just not the kind of tea I'm going to drink.
well, I mean, look, honestly, if the conversation can reach a parent that can have a conversation with their kid,
Good for them.
I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
What I'm not grateful for is I feel like it's just doing it, just trying to stay relevant as opposed to what their push was to begin with.
Yeah. Well,
know?
and we talked about that too. In public service, again, you're serving your 40,000, 41,000 folks as a House member. If you're a senator, you're serving your 100,000 folks in your Senate district. When you put your personal wants, wishes, and desires above that public interest, you should probably maybe not serve anymore. Right.
I would agree with that.
Be a campaign manager, be a consultant, be a lobbyist, whatever it is, because obviously you have some things that you feel are going to be your personal priorities and you're putting those before your public service. And that's where you probably have lost touch a little bit,
Yeah.
I would say, from the public side of it. I mean, the public service or the public servant part. And now you're just being a politician. And that is what I think breeds distrust in our government. There's too many people out there in this public service game for their personal shit instead of serving their constituencies or their small businesses or their schools or their hospitals, you know, those interests first. They're putting their personal stuff in front of that.
Yeah.
And that's where, again, I think it just breeds a distrust of politicians and public servants, whatever your ball cap you want to use. And that's just, I don't know, man. I think that runs against sort of what we're about.
Look, my life's mission is trying to reach as many kids as possible. So for that, I'm good.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things, and from everything that you do, how the wrong information can cause more problems.
Oh, right.
And, I'm even careful with groups that I work with or put my name behind whenever they're pushing for legislation in D.C. And the reason is because there are so many AstroTurf organizations. There are so many in that are out there just for the money.
Right.
That will push the narrative that even if it's Meta pushing. And it's funny, Meta's the one that's getting caught up in all of these lawsuits consistently.
Well, that's interesting. I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast. He had Spencer Pratt on, the guy who had run for LA mayor. And, you're talking about these AstroTurf organizations. That reminds me of that whole conversation that Spencer and Joe Rogan were having about the homeless nonprofits out there in LA. Oh my goodness, man. Or the, the Palisades fires that went on out there. How all these nonprofits got out there, raised $100 million, and no one who lost their home got any of the money. It all went to those AstroTurf or those nonprofit, those NGOs. And I'm like, holy smokes. That is corruption in the worst form, right? Where they go out and they tell you that they're trying to help the guy who's out of his home because him and his family lost it in the fire, and then they just pocket it and they pay an executive director $1 million.
Yeah.
And it goes out the back door.
And there's many nonprofits that do extremely well. Like I think, the Tim Tebow Foundation, everyone knows that because of his voice and his platform. A lot of people give money to that. Tunnels to Towers, people give money to that.
Right.
The organization with the Sound of Freedom, people give money to that. And all of those are good organizations.
Right.
But how far can you reach? Even with less than 3, there's only so far you can reach at one time.
Well, and we're talking about, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's your public servant, politician, or whatever it is. Folks, that's an example. There's bad actors in every industry. There's bad actors in every occupation, whether it's, folks beating up on teachers because that one bad teacher, you know what I mean? That's again, bad apples are everywhere. We cannot paint with a broad brush when it comes to some of that stuff.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that we as a government should not fund nonprofits.
Right, and I was going to talk about that in our budget segment. That has, I think, fueled some of the fire when it comes to separating earmarks out of a budget.
Yeah.
But we can talk about that. So, so we're staying busy. We just went and visited Chief Harris.
Yep.
Over
Catawba Nation.
Catawba Nation had just a good informational meeting about latest and greatest, what's going on over there. Some of the challenges the tribe's experiencing. With the good news is, it sounds like they're growing. It sounds like
tremendously
that they're sort of on an upward trend, and
they've got their hands in so much.
And it seems like Chief Harris is one of those guys who's just when I say agitator, I mean it in a good way, right?
He's a mover and shaker. He's going to get up and get moving.
An agitator is the part of the washing machine that gets, the old washing machines that would get irritation from the cloth. You know what I mean? And it gets stuff clean. But he just seems to like rattle some cages, right? He doesn't accept no, or he's like, man, there's got to be a way to figure this out.
Yeah.
And I dug his spirit, man. Like
he's not going to take any bullshit.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just dug him. So anyway, that wraps up this segment of our weekend review. Next up, we'll be talking about the Senate race and the budget. This episode of Pints of Politics is brought to you by Comer Distributing. Comer Distributing Company is a wholesale beer distributor located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Founded in 1971, Comer is a family-owned business that distributes beer and other beverages to York, Chester, Fairfield, Lancaster, Kershaw, Lexington, and Richland counties.
All right, welcome back. This segment about the budget.
Yeah, man.
And what
so folks, if you want to skip ahead, you go ahead and skip ahead for those, because we're going to be reading some highlights from some of the major sections of it that we think are important to highlight. Obviously, I'm just kidding, folks. But, yeah. All right, so tell us about it, man.
$422 million in new tax relief. $325 million is in the income tax relief, which will drop the income tax rate from 6% down to 5.21%. 81 million for the homestead exemption, and 16 million in additional tax credits for and exemptions.
Okay. And so let's just take it section by section. Folks, the income tax, I think we've talked about that a lot. That was a House
Yep.
bill. Raising of the homestead exemption was a Senate bill. We initially wanted to get that to 150.
We wanted to do a bill
Yeah.
for it.
And that is actually the proper way, right? Because some of the issues with raising the homestead exemption and the state funding the difference is there's no criteria that a local government couldn't still raise millage on you.
Right.
And so they're getting the state money to cover the gap in
Yeah,
service.
we're just subsidizing housing. Like,
Right.
I don't understand. Look, I was one of, I think, 10 people that voted against it.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever we start subsidizing anything, I think we realize the prices go up. If government is subsidizing your taxes are going to go up. If government subsidizing your education, it's going to go up.
Right. And some of that stuff, I think, in your decision to vote no against
It was also an FU to the Senate for what they did. Too.
well, but it's also the vehicle, right? It's not the proper way to do it.
right.
Yeah. So again, and all that's fine. What we want to do is get that property tax homestead exemption for our seniors from 50 to say 100 or 150. The issue, folks, is there needs to be some criteria, right? You couldn't have raised millage, and I'm just throwing out an idea that I've heard kicked around. If you get that homestead exemption raised, and the state's going to fund the difference to locals so they don't have holes blown in their county budgets, you can't have raised millage in the last 5 years, right? You got to have some restraints, some strings attached to that, so you ensure that the intent of helping seniors out is actually accomplished.
Well, and they're also part of it was, and during the questioning part of it, I brought it up to Chairman Bannister on the floor. I firmly believe, and look, I didn't understand because this is just a proviso kind of thrown in on the budget, but how much this has been vetted. And I look at the amount of people, South Carolina is the fastest growing state in the entire country. So you got a bunch of Yankees that sell their property value that's way up, move down here, and go to Myrtle Beach, Charleston, these places where property prices are through the roof, and you're giving them a homestead exemption just because of their age.
Right.
Whereas you got families throughout the state that are struggling to make ends meet.
And we've talked about this. What
Yeah.
about, can we say law enforcement or our veterans?
Right.
Or, you know what I mean? Right.
Like,
So-
why not put it towards our income tax and lower it for everyone?
Right. Or why don't we just raise the homestead exemption, maybe not from 50 to 150 for seniors? Why don't we raise it to 75 for everybody?
That would be good.
You know what I mean? So everybody enjoys some property
But
tax relief.
it's still, if you were subsidizing it, local government's just going to raise it. That's
Right.
just more money for local government.
But so to that point about property taxes, I do look forward to Let's leading the charge on that. I don't know who's going to take it up the Senate or the House, but I hope, because I know it's a priority of both of us, I know it's a priority for Senator Peeler, that we get this accomplished, because this is a way that you give property owners some tax relief that they'll see every spring.
My problem is we're doing that, but just as you said, there's no way to stop local government from just raising taxes.
Right.
We're doing nothing but taking money from everyone and then saying, we're going to lower your property tax because you're above this age.
Right. So, but again, doing
what-
that through legislation with the proper qualifications and criteria to receive the tax relief is
and
the best way to go.
I would love to see our retirees that might be struggling to get by get property tax relief.
Right.
But at the same time, what is the number one problem we are facing in this country due to inflation? And that is affordable housing. So our young people, I've got a 20-year-old. How is he supposed to buy a house? If we're just subsidizing the values of these houses as they raise up and collect all these property taxes, we're just inflating it more.
Right.
It just doesn't, it's not a conservative principle,
Yeah.
period.
Well, you got a rental house. Maybe you can rent them.
Yeah, I mean, and I pay higher taxes for that.
But that's not going to be affordable, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
Get me paid.
in the same time, I could easily go to the government, get it on a government program, and have them subsidize $1,000 a month for that same house.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do that. But that's what raises rent for everyone.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
this is the problem.
All right.
But-
sorry, guys, we get a little off track. We get excited.
Yeah.
All right,
Just government does not need to be subsidizing everything.
agree.
If
All
the
right.
government would stay out, things would be a lot less
Speaking
expensive.
of, what's the next section?
Strengthening K-12 education. So it raised the minimum starting teacher salary to $50,500 and added another $2,000 to the teacher minimum salary schedule. So $75 million for rural and charter school capital needs, $38.3 for K through 12 instruction materials, $30 million for school buses, $20 million for school safety grants, and $23.2 for education scholarship trust fund program.
Okay. So that last one you hit, that Education and Scholarship Trust Fund, that started at 15, and now it's already gone to 23?
Yep.
Okay. So it seems to be that school choice is, you know, the demand is there. South Carolina families, South Carolina students want to be able to take advantage of that scholarship and be able to go to whatever school suits the household, suits the family, suits the student better. So that's good to
Yeah,
see.
and a lot of that comes with the schools being able to open up.
Yeah. School choice, I think I love the idea because I like it that it empowers the student and the family to make market choices and those well-performing schools get more students, right?
How about we do school choice in higher ed?
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, I mean, instead of us subsidizing higher ed,
Right.
and then saying you got to take 40% from within our state, how about we just say we're not subsidizing you anything, and you got to give a return on investment and let whoever wants to come.
Right.
Just kind of seems like common sense,
Just
but
saying.
you know, yeah. So the other thing we did was making college and career training more affordable.
There you go.
Yeah.
Your favorite.
So $250 million for capital projects at public universities and technical colleges. $95 million for SC Wins tuition assistance, and $15 million for Ready SC job training. I'm all for the job training.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
all for programs like that.
I do think higher education since COVID has got I'm not going to say a kick in the butt because, I mean, there's a lot of hardworking folks at higher education. I think what they're seeing is the public demands results, right? They're getting more.
You mean like capitalism?
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? I had this conversation because USC is in Columbia, where the State House is. We tend to talk to more USC folks, not because we're huge Gamecock fans. It's because the proximity, right? But I talked to them. I said, hey, what do y'all do with and again, I'm making up, this is a hypothetical. What do you do with basket weaving, right? No one is making money basket weaving. You know, that's a waste of taxpayer dollars. Do not have that you don't need a credit class for basket weaving, finger painting, whatever, right? VCR repair.
It was just in the 90s that I remember UNC during Julius Peppers and all
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
whenever UNC had a good football team. They went down for creating, and it was African American student or studies,
Yeah.
basket week. Like it was these types
It
of
was
classes.
fake, right?
And everything's like, oh, these are fake degrees.
Right.
Well, college back then cost how much? And
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, this seems to be what our universities are ran with.
Right, but to my point, I do think higher education, especially our technical schools, are getting more to the workforce development centers, right, than just educating them on abstract economic theory, right? They're starting to align with employers to say what are the talents, what are the things that we need to be training these young people that prepares them to enter the workforce for your company.
Which is what Clemson did with Michelin
Right.
and BMW
Correct.
and these companies.
And so now you're getting, say, here in Rock Hill in York County, we have Octapharma coming in. Those discussions are already happening with our York Techs, with our Winthrop Universities, and
Yeah.
with USC when it comes to the pharmacy school. So that is, I do think higher education is getting the message that we need to deliver results. We need to prepare our young people better for the workforce. And so, little
Well,
highlight there.
And once again, we froze in-state tuition.
Something you're a big fan of. All right, what was the next section?
The next section is investing in roads and bridges. $344 million going to roads and bridges through the SCDOT and CTCs, which is the County Transportation Committees.
Yep.
So, I can't disagree with that. If
Yeah.
you can put your money and see results in it,
Right. And
at
a
the
lot
end
of
of
this,
the day, that's what matters.
and a lot of this stuff, when it comes to road projects, folks, this money is accelerating things that were already in the hopper to go to construction. But because we have the money, we're going to go ahead and accelerate those schedules to get them done sooner and then faster, right?
Right.
And so yeah, I mean, I've heard fix the dang roads for like 2 years. You know what I mean? And so we have been pouring and investing money into our infrastructure, roads, bridges, airports, railways here for the past, 3 years at least. So we should be seeing some, that bear fruits, hopefully here within a couple of years.
Well, and something that's very important to many of us of the younger generation is land conservation and the Conservation Bank. So in order to provide safer and stronger communities, we added $80 million to land conservation and Conservation Bank. We did $24.5 million to the Palmetto 800 statewide first responder communication system. And we fully funded state law enforcement step increases, and then an additional $22 million in water and sewer projects. This is on the state level.
Yeah. And again, folks, when we talk about budgets, I know we're going high level here. These are the meaningful investments that are included in this year's budget.
Yeah.
That are vitally important to sustain the growth that's coming to our state. If we have shitty roads and bridges, crappy airports, and no way to transport goods and freight to our marketplaces and to our ports, our state's not going to be seeing this trend of economic vitality the way we have over the last, 10 years or so?
Yeah.
So all important things we have to invest in.
Well, and then we've got supporting health and human services.
Yeah.
So $207 million for HHS, $46 million for home and community-based services, $50.7 million to improve mental health and developmental disability services,
Yeah.
and $34 million for DSS to meet the new federal SNAP matching requirements.
Yep. And so let me touch on one of those, talking about BHDD, the behavioral health stuff. We have talked about this at length, the emerging mental health crisis that is not just in pockets of our state. I think we're seeing this across our state, right? And again, I don't care.
And across the country.
Right.
Yeah.
And whatever the reasons for it are, whether it's social media, whether it's, chemical dependencies, you know what I mean? Like all of those things. We have got to make sure that folks who are experiencing mental health issues, behavioral health issues, are getting the help they need.
I agree.
Because if they don't, something usually bad happens, right?
We just got an email this week to the delegation of someone having to take their child
to Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I talked with the husband and wife yesterday, like a lot. And I talked to them, and yeah, because we didn't have the facilities to adequately address this 14-year-old's needs, they had to, on their own dime, put this kid out in a school in Montana or a facility that gives more support, wraparound services, so they can educate the child in the learning environment that he's comfortable with, while also administering mental health support.
I mean, come on, folks. We can't be behind Montana
Well,
on
well,
mental health.
for this individual, we are. And yeah, let's talk about that after the show. I totally forgot to bring that up. I had really good conversations with them, talking with our folks in mental health, public health, HHS yesterday. We've got to find a good place for him when he comes back next year.
I agree.
And right now we don't have that, obviously, because the parents had to pay for him to go to Montana. So was that all the budget rundown?
I mean, that is the key highlights.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we had Governor McMaster issue a veto. So are we going to come back, or do we allow the veto to stand?
Well, and the one I think that was grabbing social media headlines and got some traction on some retweets and things of that nature was his veto. Senator Tom Davis put in a additional proviso. I don't remember the numbers, but there was money put in to complete DOT things that are going into the Scout project. There's a railway overpass going over I-77 and some of those things. And so, folks, if you don't know, the state committed to Scout Motors that we would deliver a site with a pad delivery, so they could then build their offices, manufacturing facilities, and those types of things. Well, we ran into a little bit of hiccups with environmental mitigation and some other things, and I mean, no other way to say it. We blew the budget by $150 million.
Which we discussed this back in early June, which
Yeah.
I was pleasant to find out that evidently we have Freedom Caucus members that listen to our podcast.
Why?
Because
Why do you say that?
You talked about in Lent how, if we're going to fund this, then heads have to roll.
Yeah,
Someone
right.
has to be held responsible.
That's right. We got to honor the state's commitments. We cannot leave contractors out there holding a bag that we said that we were going to pay you because it's politically expedient to do so.
Right.
As our governor said yesterday, if we begin to do things for the political outcome instead of what's right, we're going to cease to be a handshake state. And if your word means nothing, get out of here. You know what I mean? And so if we committed to a contractor that we would pay them, then we need to pay them. Okay, that's fine. I'm a handshake guy. But there has got to be accountability.
Yeah, and Senator Davis has called for an LAC audit.
Yep.
Of the $150 million,
Which is
well,
LAC.
of the
Look,
entire.
government.
Sorry.
Government. You
Go
know,
ahead.
career politician. You throwing out them acronyms, no one knows what the hell he's talking about. LAC is Legislative Audit Council. And so, so back to your story.
Yeah, but he's going to investigate where the dollars were spent, why we are $150 million short here, or
Right.
cost overruns.
Right. And so that proviso said, whoa. We'll pay you, but let's figure out what happened first. Like let's make sure that all of these things are on the up and up. And he talked about that DOT was already pulling money out of the highway fund to pay, to keep these contractors current. There's some other money, I believe, that folks were okay to ride for a little while. And so it wasn't really 150. It was more like, I think, 26 or 30 million. That was sort of the overage that he wanted to focus on. And nonetheless, we're talking about the budget. The governor vetoed that proviso. So that seems to have led the way to where those excess funds or those invoices can be paid. So the state honors its commitments. Again,
Instead of the audit happening first.
right. And so, again, I don't know but
I don't agree with that.
I think we got to, we need
I
some
think that
accountability.
proviso was one of the reasons to vote for the budget.
Right. We need some accountability
Yeah.
on the real. So, well, last segment, we'll talk about this exciting South Carolina Senate race to replace Senator Lindsey Graham.
All right. Welcome back. Segment 3. Going to talk about the exciting Senate race.
Yeah, man.
Should we talk about the results from the
Yeah.
primary first?
Yep. So, week ago now?
Yeah, same day we did the budget.
Yeah, that's right. South Carolinians went to the polls, voted for.
The top two were Ralph
Yeah.
Norman, Darlene Graham Nordong.
Yeah.
And so now we have a runoff. Now,
Yep.
both of us had thrown our support behind Russell.
Yeah.
And I think primarily for the same reason of a newer generation. And
Yeah. And South Carolina
blood.
wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
He
the people spoke, and our county spoke. I mean, hell, we had myself, you, David Martin, Randy Ligon, Tommy Pope, all endorsed
Yeah.
Russell, and it equated to, 1,700 votes?
I think so.
And that's if we had any influence on it whatsoever.
That's
So,
right.
obviously, the
Well,
people
and
did
he-
not agree there.
And here's the thing, though, especially here in York County, folks, we're letting you know who we support and why.
Yeah.
Right. I think we spelled that out. And the good thing is, everyone has their own vote. They went out and vote, and I think supported loudly our very own Ralph Norman right here from Rock Hill.
And we stated before, it's not as if, other than Mark Lynch, I wasn't really saying there was a bad candidate in the race.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, and look, we just believe. I think we have more of a personal relationship maybe with Russell. Just you
Just the years of working with him.
yeah, right. And then also to couple that, it was, I think we wanted a younger generation to start leading our state.
My focus,
no-
AI, tech,
It's like, yeah,
got to know that.
it's like I told my father-in-law, like, no disrespect to 70-year-olds, you know? It's just like, hey, man, like, it's time you enjoy your grandchildren and retire, you know? And man, he's in construction. He's like,
Take your home tax credit.
right. So, but yeah, so Darlene won, I can't even remember, 30-something%. Ralph came in second with 24. Russell ended up with, I think, 19. So, you know, it
It
was
was very close until
Yeah.
Greenville County came in.
Greenville County
Greenville County just,
came through for Ralph. So,
yeah.
so Darlene and Ralph are heading to the runoff, which is August 25th, which is next Tuesday.
I think it's neck and neck right now, too.
Early voting.
Started today, which, yeah, by the time this gets out, no one's going to know what that is.
Yeah. So early voting's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then they're voting on the 25th. So good luck. Look, congratulations to both Darlene and Ralph. This has been a sprint of a campaign
That it has been.
to fill Senator Graham's seat. And they just had a debate last night. And, you know, it's for folks. I think whether you're a Graham fan or you're a Norman fan, I think mostly people's minds are made up. Do you?
I do. I think by watching the debate, Norman definitely won that debate.
I
hands down.
thought Ralph Norman did a good job.
Yeah.
I think he shows his experience there, where we're like, hey, we want a younger generation. Well, there is some good things about being experienced
Yeah.
and doing debates like that. And Darlene doesn't have that experience.
Yeah, Senator Graham had the talking points that she was making sure she hit.
Yep.
But that experience and lack of being in the political
Yeah.
arena was shown.
Yeah. And again, if I'm in the Darlene camp, I'm saying, hey, President Trump was a political outsider too. He didn't have experience, right?
And Trump is coming here on Friday
Yeah. So
to-
we'll see what kind of impact
to
that
hold a
makes.
rally for Senator Graham.
Yep.
You
And-
had Russell Fry come out and support Senator Graham. You had Mark Sanford's kids. I don't know if Mark Sanford did, but I know his kids came out and supported Ralph, and Mark Lynch's team
Okay.
come out and supported Ralph.
Yeah, and so we talk about Darlene's sort of appeal, right? Of political outsider. She's got the Trump endorsement. She is an unpolished, regular type of non-career politician. On the Norman side, I would say you have sort of a guy that you know, right? You have someone who has stated his conservative sort of resume on.
Fiscal conservatism.
Yep, especially. I think
Yeah.
I think that is the hallmark of Ralph Norman's political career, and that is trying to fight to not spend as much money as usually a budget will ask for. You know what I mean? He's always going to go out there and say, no, let's try to cut spending somewhere. Let's find it. And so for both camps, we'll see what message resonates with voters. Because T-minus 6 days, right?
And I don't know how they do it.
I know. So I tell you
I'm
what,
not 70 and I couldn't keep up.
I know. And so good luck to the candidates. We'll probably do a podcast post that runoff election.
Yeah, we'll have to.
And have to go through the numbers. So
Should we do like a live broadcast?
that would, like, Tuesday night, you know? Yeah. So, but what else, man? Is that all you got?
Well, we got our caucus retreat coming up next week.
Yep.
To where we will strategize on what's going to lead.
Yeah.
whether-
Looking at the general elections, see what's coming before that, and then obviously planning for success for, hey guys, what's your priorities?
Yep.
What do you? Let's talk about them. Let's get all in a room. Let's talk about the priorities. Maybe the House Republican caucus can key on 3 to 5 to 6 issues that we think will resonate, which are the priorities of citizens of South Carolina.
I mean, it's honestly the caucus retreat has been whenever we set those pillars
Right.
each session. Yeah, we always say there's no way we're going to get this done.
Right. Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we pretty much got a lot of it done, except for a few of the key.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them that we actually disagreed with.
Yep. And
That didn't
so,
go through.
just on a personal note, my top 10 list for healthcare bills has now gone to 14.
I still have 20 plus.
And that's just healthcare. No. I got a few others.
Yeah.
I'm just saying those are just healthcare. So maybe when we get past some of these elections and there's some downtime, we need to fill up the podcast with content. We can talk about some of those priorities that not only I have, but you have.
I need to get Congresswoman Mace on here since she
With
come
the
out
tats,
showing
son?
the tattoos.
Man.
I mean, my first bill that I filed, other than Gavin's Law, was the tattoo bill.
Hey, you got to
So-
look. Social media can be really, really crummy, but it can be really, really entertaining at the same time. And the tweet that had her with tank top, so you could see the new ink, and it said, "Man, from Charleston to Myrtle Beach that quick." I mean, folks, I'm from South Carolina. You're from South Carolina.
I mean, we
That's
get the
funny.
right sponsor. I might get a tattoo live.
Right.
I'm good. I'm itching for some more.
That's
ink.
funny. Hey, you know what the right sponsor for that would be? Kleenex tissues. You'll be crying like a little. Just kidding. Hey, thanks to our sponsor, Coleman Distributing, for supporting this episode, this podcast. Tell them how to get in touch with us.
Yeah, like, follow, share our information. I know it's not as consistent right now. We are doing our best that we can, but we appreciate everyone that does watch and support us. Visit us on pintsandpolitics.show or on any one of our social medias.
All right. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Peace out.
Getting deep, but the vibes get high.